Hello, this is Jordan. This is my volunteer, Bruce, or as I call him, Father. We're going to go through a neuro exam today. So we start out, there's probably about 5 sections to it, but they kind of interact at some points. You got a mental status check, go over the cranial nerves, and then motor function, sensory function, and reflexes. So mental status check, that's just checking their orientation. So can you tell me what your name is?
Bruce Bitter.
You can tell me where you are?
Location wise,
Yeah.
I live at 1417 Columbus Street in Manitowoc.
Yeah, but right now.
Well, right now I'm
Just at my
in Jordan's
Yeah,
office.
there we go. Do you know what the date is?
July 28th, 29th.
There you go, nailed it. And then what the situation is.
Well, I'm just here for a neurological exam. My dad had Parkinson's disease, and it was diagnosed when he was 61, 62, and I'm that now. So I just want to see how things are going between the years.
Smart. Okay, so that is the mental status check. Now we're gonna roll through these cranial nerves. We won't hit every single one because every single one is not necessary for like a neurological screening exam. Like cranial nerve 1, for example, is olfactory stuff. That's specialized. We don't need to deal with that. Cranial nerves 2, 3, 4, and 6 all deal with ocular movement, and that's both gross motor movement and the fine motor movement as well. When we're talking about the difference, you'll see. Okay. So with the gross motor movements, we're going to do a test called the cardinal directions. I'm going to have them follow my light through the cardinal directions. If you would do me a favor and just follow this. Perfect. Okay. So if you can follow that all the way through those cardinal directions, that gives us the indication that he's got good gross motor functioning with the muscles involved with his eyes. I'm going to have him look just straight ahead and check his pupillary reaction. Good. That's where we assess for what we in the medical community call PERLA, which is pearls are equal, round, and reactive to light and accommodation. So those pupils are reacting appropriately. That's that fine muscle motor functioning that we're assessing with that particular test. Now we're going to move into cranial nerve 5, and that's called the trigeminal nerve for anybody who likes to know that type of information. First, we'll do a test of his motor function. So what I'm going to do is have you just clench your jaw. Good. And I can feel that it's equal, that clenching on both sides of it. Now, I'm going to actually have you take off these for this next thing. Next, we're going to look at some of the sensory, do like a sensory assessment for that same nerve. So since I couldn't find any cotton balls, we're going to use some tissue paper. I'll have you close your eyes and then just tell me when you feel, just say now when you feel it.
No.
There we go. Now we hit all 3 of those quadrants associated with that particular cranial nerve. We know that those are functioning effectively. The next thing we're going to look at is the cranial nerve 7, which involves some of it's referred to as the facial nerve. And so I'm going to have you do some facial movements. So can I have you show me your teeth? Smile. Can you do a frown? Good. I'll have you raise your eyebrows and close your eyes tight. Okay, good. So I could see that he's able to do all of those effectively. Cranial nerve 8 involves hearing. So there's different tests for that. There's like the whisper test, for example, but even just normal conversation. The fact that he's conversating with me normally gives me an idea that that's working effectively, and there's not really too much of a need to go any more in depth with that. So we'll move on to cranial nerve 9. Usually you have what is that thing called? Tongue depressor. But I don't have one handy, so I'll just have you. There you go. And then actually I'll have you stick your tongue out and move it back and forth. See, now we've covered not only cranial nerves 9 and 10, but 12 with that particular movement of the tongue. Then that leaves us with 10. And so what I'm going to have you do is try and move your head, rotate it to the left. There you go. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to have you try and shrug your shoulders. Good. Perfect. And that completes our little journey through the cranial nerves. So moving on to motor function, trying to look at sort of the bigger muscle groups. And so you just give it to me, I'll have you do that's sort of some abduction for the shoulder. Same type of thing for the elbow. Normally I'd have you laying down for this, but it's okay. At least we can see. Alright. And then it's a little hard to see the feet on this, but we got the dorsiflexion, plantar flexion going on that side. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion going on that side. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is look at some, it's a measurement to see, or it's an assessment to see whether he can distinguish between like a sharp and a dull sensation. So I'm going to use your hand for this, have you close your eyes. Just let me know when you feel this and let me know if it's sharp or dull.
Dull. No, actually it was kind of sharp.
Okay.
Dull. Sharp. Dull. Sharp.
Okay. So you can see you can anything with like a sharp end and a dull end you can use, and that lets us know yes, he can distinguish between those two sensations. Okay, the last thing we're going to get into here is going to be reflexes. So we're going to look at 3 particular different types of reflexes. The patellar involves this tendon here by the knee. Let's see if it's good. It might be easier if your legs are
Elevated.
yeah. We can get there's a little bit on. There we go. See? So you got that, call it sort of a brisk response over there. So that's with that knee. Next thing we're going to get into here is the biceps. So I'll have you try and just relax that the best you can. There. It's subtle, but it's there. It's sort of that. And then the last one that we're going to do is the Achilles. Actually, I'll have you. There. Oh, sorry. This is what happens when you don't have a camera on, right?
Yeah.
All right. But I'll have you relax that as best you can, just so that I can. I mean, it did go, but there. See, so it's that brisk movement that you have with that. Ugh. Making sure. Oh, one more thing I'm going to have you do, and this deals with motor function, is we're going to look at cerebellar function in particular, and that deals with coordination and balance. So if I could have you do that with your fingers. Perfect. And then could I have you Good, and that tells us that he's got the coordination that's regulated by the cerebellum is functioning and intact. Maybe one more test we'll have you do. Have you stand up, and then just hands at your sides, and then close your eyes. Okay, this is called the Romberg test, and it's another test for assessing cerebellar function, particularly in terms of balance. So you can see pretty normal, you can a barely discernible sway at all, but he's able to maintain his balance. I'll have you sit down again. Okay, one more. One more, I'll have you close your eyes, and then have your arms out, and then bring one of your pointer fingers to your nose. Touch your nose, and then go back out with it, and do it with the other one. Good. And again. And the other one. Well done. Okay. So there you have it, a neurological assessment. I hope you had fun. See you later.